Hey yo, what's goody all my beautiful people out there in the tube of the U? It's your boy J-Nut over here at Hookah, and today I got an updated review of the Cloud Vitria Bowl. Now, let's go ahead and dive back into history and see where this all began. Of course, it began with the Cloud Lotus, and this is probably the best heat management system on the market. Now, since this model, the Lotus has changed a little bit. I believe it has a matte finish now, but this I've had for about a good 3 or 4 years. Excellent quality, very durable. As you can see, it's fairly easy to keep clean. It had to soak in some OxyClean detergent or whatever, and I had to use a metal scrubber, but it got pretty clean. And I do put my Lotus on the stove to preheat when I use it. Not so much with the Vitria bowl, but with other clay bowls, and I only do it for 20 to 30 seconds. That's it. If you do it for any longer than that, your Lotus is probably going to mess up. So it's literally just to get it warmed up so my coals don't black out. That's the only reason I've ever done it. That's the only reason I will ever continue to do it. And as you can see, mine hasn't melted. There's nothing wrong with it. It still functions exactly the way it's meant to. So as long as you don't abuse it, you're fine. But this isn't a Cloud Lotus review or tutorial. So let's get into the next thing. From that, we have the Samsaris bowl. And this was an all silicone bowl that Cloud created. And it was designed to work with your Lotus to be the ultimate heat management system. So it locked into place and it pretty much made your session last for that much longer. You didn't have to use as much coals and all the heat just stayed locked in. It stayed trapped in there, so it cooked it. The blades on here allowed it to cook evenly, but the problem with the Samsaris is that the silicone would eventually deteriorate and melt, as you can see. It hasn't quite gotten to that point on this one just because I stopped using it. But I did have one prior to this, and rest in peace. Next, the Vitria bowl came out, and with the Vitria bowl, you're going to have a glass inside bowl, and you're going to have a protective sleeve around it. So if this is your smartphone, this is your protective case. We kind of went over this before. Now here's the thing with the Vitria bowl. It was sent out to a lot of reviewers and vendors to review and test it out and see, the likes and dislikes. So in a sense, this was a prototype. So I want you to take notice to the edge. And the only problem with this Vitria bowl as far as the prototype is the Lotus. It was hard to get in there and stay in there, and it wouldn't really lock into place. If you mess with it enough, you could get it to lock into place like so. But eventually, as it heats up, it's going to fall out. So that's no good, because if it's not locked in securely, you're going to have like a gap. Like you see that little gap, and heat's going to escape. So it's still going to work, but it's not going to work exactly how it was designed to work. That is one thing I really disliked about this bowl, is just how hard it was to get and keep my Lotus in this bowl and, keep it locked in. As you can see with the Samsaris, it would lock in, stay. You could turn upside down. It would never come out. So again, this was a prototype. So feedback was sent to Reza, or the good folks at Cloud, and they listened. So now this is the final product of the Vitria bowl. And if you'll notice, can you see the difference? I don't know if you can, but the final product, this is a little bit higher. So whereas the Cloud, you had to fidget it, before and like kind of twist it in there to get it locked in, and it wouldn't always necessarily stay in. But this is the prototype. With the final product, it just falls right in there, okay? Now, I will say it's not going to lock into place, okay? You're not going to get that, but you don't necessarily need that with the Vitria bowl. As long as it fits in there and it's snug, you got breathable vents, enough room for your vents. It just sits right in there. There's no struggle. If you wanted to, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you wanted to do the 20 to 30 pre-second heat, you can do that. You'll be good to go, but you really don't have to do that the way this heat management system works altogether. But yes, the Lotus will sit in your Vitria bowl now. There's no struggle at all, but it will not lock into place. So please don't expect for it to lock into place. That is not going to happen. But that's okay. It doesn't have to necessarily lock in, like I stated. As long as you're trapping that heat in there, you are good to go. So with Cloud making that improvement on the Vitria bowl, I absolutely do love it. I smoke with this quite a bit. Obviously, I haven't tried to use foil on this just because it makes absolutely no sense to use foil on this. This is designed for the Cloud Lotus, so that's all that should be used on this bowl. But it's exactly the same as we talked about before. It's a glass bowl. It's got your protective silicone outer. So smartphone, this is your case, and it goes in very easy. Just slides right in, push it in, pull it up, snap everything into place. Boom, you are good to go. Okay. So yeah, this is an absolutely great bowl. I'm very happy that Cloud decided to make these changes and they listened to the feedback that we had given them. So that's a big thumbs up and kudos to you, Cloud, for listening and actually making those changes. And I got to tell you, it smokes excellent. The heat stays in. It is the product that it should have been from the jump. So again, that's the point of a prototype. So I don't want to sit here and say Cloud failed, because that's why they sent out this prototype, is for us to test it and let them know what's wrong with it. Will this work? Is there any flaws? There was flaws. They fixed it. So big special thumbs up to Reza and the great folks over at Cloud for actually listening to your consumers. That is so important, and so many people don't do that. It's rare to see that, you know, a company actually will sit there and take time to listen and make those changes. So definitely big thumbs up to Cloud. Like I said, I absolutely love this bowl. You can, but I wouldn't recommend to preheat your Lotus if you're going to use it on the Vitria bowl, just because I don't know how that's going to react to the silicone. I think it'll stand up to it, but you don't need to do it. The way that this works and locks in the heat and gets everything going, you don't have to preheat your Lotus anymore. I will say, if you don't though, just make sure you blow on your coals and get them flamed up, and kind of just keep an eye on it in the beginning. But after that, you're good to go. You put the top on, close the vents, walk away and smoke. You're good to go. So the Vitria bowl definitely gets a thumbs up. This is the finished product. Key things to remember: this will not lock into place, but it will lock the heat in. So you could get away with 2 coals. I prefer 3 coals. Unless I'm using charcoal flares that are specifically made for the Lotus, then I'll use 4, and we'll get into a review of those later on down the road. But just know your coals. If you have low heat coals, then add more. If you have high heat coals, then you don't need as much. So you know how to use the Lotus. The Vitria bowl in junction with the Lotus is just going to make it for a much better experience. So I highly do recommend the Vitria bowl. Go check it out at 5-star. I don't think it's available yet, but when it is, if it's not on sale, type in my discount code JNUC and it'll save you 5, 10, 15% off of anything that's not on sale. So make sure you do that. Hope you enjoyed the review. I'm not going to smoke out of it because you know how it smokes. It smokes just like the prototype did, except actually it smokes a little bit better. So I'll probably smoke in this in other reviews to come, but right now I don't need to. I just needed to update you with what's going on. So I hope you enjoyed it. Give this a thumbs up. Please share it. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns in the comment section below, and I will holler at you all on the next video. Deuces. Mwah.